That way you guys will remember to check it. I'll send that email this evening. Thank you, Delma.
Well, they're on all the time.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get to them.
Okay, time is now 6:30. We are in session. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting. Notice is hereby giving that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas will be held on Thursday, April 24th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall, 22870 Priest Road, Sandy Oaks, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. You can join the meeting at the Zoom link provided in the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by audio, as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary at least 15 minutes in advance of the meeting, if providing comments in person, and at least 2 hours in advance, 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing the city secretary at cityofsandyoaks.com or by calling 210-607-0834 if speaking telephonically or by audio. An audio recording of the meeting will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. Madam Secretary, may I have a call to order and a quorum call, please?
Here. Alderwoman C.J. Walker. Here. Alderman Prebley.
Not here.
Alderman Fillinger.
Here.
Alderman Rutino.
Here.
City Secretary's here and City Attorney is also present.
Thank you. Please stand for your Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. All right, citizens to be heard. Persons wishing to speak up may sign up with the city secretary in the time and manner as indicated above. Let's see here. So at this time, we do have Mr. Terry Reagan signed up to speak. Do you want to wait until your agenda item is called?
If y'all want to speak now, I can.
Do you have your documentation like you normally do?
I do not.
And you're okay to start then right now? Okay, then let's go ahead and let's have you come up, sir.
Do I need a speaker?
No, we have the
Okay.
the mic here. That's fine.
Well, thank you again for this opportunity to speak to council. So I don't have an update like we had, little charts that we make. We've been working on things that are closely related to those, and we'll probably have you by the next meeting. We'll definitely have one. But one of the things that I really am excited about is, of course, I have to work too. So I did some work this last week for a place called Deer Creek Camp out in Medina, Texas. And if y'all have any church functions or get-togethers that you want to have done, that is a most awesome place to go. And so they offered me, okay, I told them the situation and then the need for a tractor or something to help clean up. And so they offered me in trade for my irrigation work to the use of their tractor. So we just have to schedule it. And of course I need to, well, and we'll be starting this next week on this coming week on starting to tear down the house.
Okay.
So just wanted to share that with you. Things are moving and so that's it. And if the invitation still stands, if anybody wants to help, I could, but we just have to schedule that in. So would greatly appreciate the help. It seems like every time somebody promises to help or can help. Mr. Rubin came to the meeting a few weeks ago and he offered to help just last week, but he had to have surgery. And so obviously wasn't able to help, but he's been a great help. And then I have other neighbors that have been helping as well whenever they can. So
When are you typically there?
anywhere between, usually I'm there on Sunday. This Sunday I won't be there. But anywhere between Sunday and Thursday. So anywhere
Sundays
between
and
there. So if somebody has a day available and they can help, I greatly appreciate it. And we can schedule something. So that's it for now. But thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reagan. Appreciate your update. Okay, that should conclude our citizens to be heard. Moving right along, mayor updates and administrator updates and announcements. I really haven't had any updates or announcements to bring up, so we will go ahead and skip that and move right along to our consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the city council of the city of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Should have everything that you need in the consent agenda.
I'd like to go ahead and make we're missing a page.
In the printed copy, yes.
Oh,
It was included in the email.
okay. All right, well, what can we
Okay,
do?
I withdraw. It is on the electronic.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, we'll get that resolved. Okay, so the motion is withdrawn to pull item A.
So I move to approve the consent agenda with the edits incorporated into 5A. Correcting the typos.
I'll second.
So I have a motion from the mayor pro tem and Alderman Rapino to accept the consent agenda with the typos fixed as provided. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Right? All right, so all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Just jot that down. Okay. Then let's move right along to agenda item 6A. All right, so let's see, discussing our possible action on amending the personnel policy manual. I will turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem if you have any updates to provide.
So should both Alderwoman Walker and myself be listed on there?
Yeah, I
since
can-
We're the ones on the committee. We have been exchanging emails. We haven't had an opportunity to actually meet. However, we are discussing changes that we are recommending to the format of that. I sent out some complete restructuring recommendations and I'm waiting for a response for that. And Alderwoman Walker has indicated she is fully skilled in Microsoft and should be able to actually number the paragraphs so that they're numbered within the in the table of contents when we do actually reformat it and refresh it. We just noticed there was some repetitive, like 2 sections that covered workman's comp, because again, we just been building on this document
adding
since
to.
the last time Alderwoman Walker was on the council. So we're just trying to clean up and eliminate some of the duplications and group similar topics together. And then we'll actually get into the nuts and bolts of fixing any things that we think need to be updated.
Okay. Do you need any support from any of us?
Not at this time, sir.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, once that is completed, then what will the process be for us to?
Under Robert's Rules of Order, the committee that's been assigned the task will bring it back to the full council for presentation of what our recommended changes are. And then the council will be able to take a vote on it at that point in time, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, then we will move right along. We do not have to act on 6B since Mr. Reagan already provided his update. And then we can jump to 6C, discuss for possible action on additional streetlights in Sandy Oaks. I had one resident reach out to me, Ms. Cardenas. She gave me her poll number and requested a light there, so I am working on that. So I will,
Where was that?
I don't, but I will get it added to that map via sticker. And then Chief, have you had any feedback from your folks?
Not yet.
Okay. Can we make sure we have some by the next meeting? Okay, because I don't want to drag this on much longer. And I know we instructed our Public Works Director to cruise around in the evening, so I think we just gotta reinforce that so that we can get some.
Yeah, I think she said she was gonna shift her schedule and
Yeah.
come in earlier so that there's no overtime, but can we have her, since she's at the next meeting anyway, assuming she's recovered from her injury?
Yeah, she's fine. I saw her today.
Yeah, to present it when she's doing her.
I'll talk to her tomorrow and then just tell her, let's prioritize it over the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Anyone else on this topic? Okay, then let's move right along. All right, discussion and or possible action on resolution 2025-225, a resolution for submission for a 2025 CDBG grant. There are a couple of typos that I need to correct in here. The first is in paragraph or page 1, paragraph 3, where it does say Red Mountain Drive. I would need to strike that to say park playground project. I think is what I called the project overall.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Park playground improvement is what I called it.
Because we've already done Red Mountain. Drive.
Yes, we've already done.
I was guessing that maybe we didn't do it all. And
No,
that's
no,
why we were.
that's
doing
it.
What was that?
On paragraph 3, Red Mountain, yeah.
Okay, I see.
Do we need a motion on that? So I make a motion that we strike Red Mountain Drive from paragraph 3 and replace it with Park Playground Project.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so I got a motion from the Mayor Pro Tem and Alderman Fillinger to strike Red Mountain Drive and replace it with Park Playground Project. All those in favor say aye.
Can we discuss that a minute?
Yes.
If you read that, you just replace those words, it does not make sense.
Right, we need to discuss it with him, what the rest of the sentence needs to say.
Yeah, so right now we're just striking Park Playground Project. I'm not approving the ordinance just yet. Okay, so let me take that vote one more time, just, so I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem, Madero and a second by Alderman Fillinger to strike Red Mountain Drive and insert Park Playground Project. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, okay, that will be striked.
So what is
And
it that
yes.
we're proposing, sir, that we actually replace? that?
It's the entire playground, yeah. Yeah, so that playground that's there would be removed. They don't recommend that we repurpose it or put it somewhere. They don't recommend we donate it either because it's not ADA compliant. It is a bit of a hazard. It's from the 80s.
Recall that previous. So we're talking about the playground equipment. What about
The
the
bedding,
bedding?
yeah, the
Fencing, the
fencing,
enclosure, the
yeah.
entire playground.
yeah.
So-
To include the seesaws, they don't recommend those either. They're a bit of a liability, so.
And what about the access path to get to it? Any,
No, it wouldn't. Well, at the time, it didn't really include that. It was more so just, it could be two ways, right? We will remove the one that's currently there. And then we can reinstall it there, or we can install it in another location closer maybe to the community center. So that way they have easier access to restrooms, to cooling. If they get hot, they can go into the community center if it's open. They have access to water and in the case of there's a water hose. Or
so at this point, it's not decided where it will be, merely the
It's not.
project will include removing what's there and installing new equipment to include bedding and fencing.
correct.
And what about, did you say bedding?
Bedding, yeah, which is the material that
because
you
that's
walk on.
important.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so then I would move that we strike street excavation, driveway repair, mailbox removal, finish, and replace sod and replace that with playground equipment, fencing, and
Betty,
what is that called again?
Betty,
Bedding. From paragraph 3.
Okay,
May I suggest it?
Yeah.
ADA compliant playground.
Oh,
equipment
yes, sir, please.
And fence and surface.
All ADA compliant.
okay. So the playground equipment, the fencing and bedding is ADA compliant.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so I have a motion by our Mayor Pro Tem and a second
I'll second.
by Alderman Rapino to strike street excavation, driveway repair, mailbox removal, furnish and replace sod, and insert playground equipment, fencing, and bedding to be ADA compliant. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
There are no further discussion, sir. I move that we adopt resolution number 2025-225. A resolution of City Council, City of San Diego, authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Block Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the 2025 Community Development Fund funding.
I'll second.
Okay, so I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger and a second by Alderman Rapino approving a resolution number 2025-225. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the 2025 Community Development Fund, and authorizing the mayor to act as the city's executive officer and authorized representative in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, that motion.
Babe, away.
Yes, sir.
Is this gonna impact our Fair County Community Development?
No, sir. This is a part of the same program.
Okay,
All right. Moving right along. The next item to discuss is discuss for possible action on an invoice from i3 Verticals to create integration with eForce not to exceed $1,250. So that item, as you know, the police department moved away from CopSync over to eForce. Part of that, one thing that we did forget to incorporate was the integration between the two systems. So currently there is an integration between CopSync and i3 Verticals, aka NetData, which is what the court uses to re-establish that connection. So that way information transfers from the ticket writing software, report writing software to the court system. There is a development fee of $1,250, and that's what this item.
is this a one-time?
This is a one-time integration.
Move to approve $1,250 to
Not to exceed.
what is the fixed price, so
Hmm.
$1,250 to iVerticals.com for the integration of the ticketing system.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Fillinger.
Where, which department was it? Where is it coming from? What's the money?
It's from our technology fund. Yes.
Funded from the technology fund.
Okay. And then I have a second.
I'll-
Okay.
So one question.
Yes.
Topic of conversation before. Here it asked and you stated that it's a one-time fee.
Mhm.
The,
Their generic invoice.
so this is the generic and that's why everything's on this side.
Yeah.
So the fact that it says yearly maintenance and annually and has no dollar amount
Correct.
is irrelevant. Okay, thank you.
So the motion is by Alderman Fillinger and seconded by Alderwoman CJ is to accept the invoice from i3 Verticals for $1,250 for the integration of eForce with i3 Verticals. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. That motion carries, moving right along. All right, discuss under possible action on ordinance 2019-132, a resolution for amending the regular city council meetings. Really, this is just a discussion to talk about cutting down to once a month meetings. It would take a new resolution to do so, but
Takes an ordinance.
takes a new ordinance, excuse me. I would take a new ordinance to do so, but it was more so, would you be opposed to it? Would you think it's a good idea or a bad idea?
So
I mean-
my concern with doing that, sir, is that one meeting out of the month is primarily updates from the various departments. So that in itself makes that meeting go longer.
Yes.
So if we were trying to combine that and any other ordinances and other things that we need to talk about into a single meeting, I think it would be
Very
too
long.
long. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, we can always, and without modifying this ordinance in the future, if we don't think there's other things to discuss, we can always take a vote
Yeah,
at the first meeting of the month to decide if we need a second meeting.
A little history on this, we used to have one meeting a month, and because they used to run long, we changed it to 2 meetings a month.
Cause I
So,
didn't like it, those meetings, we were here till 10.
Yeah.
And then when I paused it.
and I didn't
Yeah.
either, and that's why we changed it.
and
And
you know,
that's apt that you say we could always change it if we could always say, okay, well, we have one meeting, and we've done that for
Christmas
Thanksgiving and
and
Christmas,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
We could just have it as a standing item on the first meeting. Is there enough for the next meeting? Just to
Yeah.
have it as a discussion point? Is that just,
I don't
if you don't think there's enough for the second meeting, you can put it on the agenda as a point to discuss with us. Do we think there's something that would require a second meeting? And then we can vote on it if you don't
to
think there's
cancel,
enough.
right?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's not
That
bad.
would be my preference rather than making it only once.
I agree.
Yeah, and the only response that I could say to that is that we could suspend the meeting at 10 o'clock and say, we're gonna come back tomorrow, because we don't need to provide.
Well, we don't want to come back.
And that's
We don't-
understandable.
We need to change the address. in
Yeah, we
these too.
recess until the next
That's
day.
what I noticed.
Yeah, the
So-
address is wrong.
Yeah, it's an old one, right?
Yeah, I know.
But nonetheless, right, it was just more conversation, because I was talking to our court clerk or our deputy clerk rather, and he was saying his council meets once a month. So then I started looking around, right? Von Army, Somerset, Poteet, Elmendorf, all meet once a month. So I was like, wow.
Well, here's an alternative, something that we can try for a month or two and see if this helps, is if we have the departments provide what they're, and the police department and the animal control already does it, but they spend time reading through the report and then they tend to have other topics to talk
Mhm.
about and animal control, but if they can provide a report for that meeting and we read it in advance, that we could try that and see if
If-
that shortens it, so
Yeah.
that we
If we
don't,
have questions, just address the questions, right?
and try that and see if that shortens that conversation.
Yeah.
And then if that's able to shorten the conversation, then it would make sense to go to once. But we usually spend an hour reading all of that information and then talking about what's
Yeah.
going on. So if we can shorten it, maybe try it next month and see what happens, sir.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And the reality is, even if we said, let's do it, right? We couldn't start this until June because I need to have my minutes approved for that invoice that we approved the consent agenda. So, it wouldn't be able to start for another Monday. So we have time to figure out, that's a good way to start it, is to see if, one, we can vote on it every meeting to have the second meeting for the month.
I think that's the answer.
Yeah,
That sounds so. To address the wrong address. This ordinance was amended by repealing on ordinance 2021-182, where the repealing clause said anything that it repeals any paragraph or item on this ordinance that conflicts with 2021-182, which is establishing this as City Hall and the place for committee meetings, council meetings, and all the other functions of the city. So, yeah, it's wrong, but it doesn't apply any longer.
I think there's a more recent
Yeah.
ordinance.
Well, and I think I brought this one up because
Still
this one
wrong.
referenced the 2 meetings, the other one referenced reestablishing City Hall. So, but either way,
But
Well, we go where we live.
council meetings are now at City Hall.
So in terms of the reports, going back to that topic.
Mhm.
Is there a requirement, and maybe the city attorney needs to answer this, is there a requirement for those numbers all to be read off? Or can we just post those reports with the meeting minutes, so any of the citizens that are interested in seeing it can just read it? Because we as council members, we get it in advance and we're able to read it. If we just post it, and then the citizens will see it and we'll see it in advance, so we can just be prepared to ask any questions we have. That would also, I think, take a few minutes off the meeting time.
I mean, there's no requirement to post it. I don't even think there's a requirement to go through that. I think we just do it for transparency, right? So
Right,
they
that's
know
why I
what
think
we're doing.
Posting it would allow us to maintain that transparency and keep the citizens informed, especially with the police report. I mean, I am always very interested in hearing the
What's going on?
the activities illegal activities going on in the town and what our police department's up to. It also shows the citizens that
That they're being productive.
they're being productive. We did adjust our budget to accommodate 4 police officers, but we just post it with the meeting minutes, and so the council members have it to review. Then we don't read it.
I would recommend that we post it with the department. The police report,
Oh, that could be an option too.
police page.
Oh, like we do for our
Report.
minutes and stuff like that, right? It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
you wouldn't do it, right? But you would send it and we would just post it for that way. It's there for February 2025. March. Did we?
That be, to modify the sites.
That's not a problem. We used to do that with police reports.
Okay.
There was a report that was put on the website every month. And I'm not exactly sure when that stopped. I know it's been.
It's not
probably
there.
2
Like,
years.
there's some, I don't,
Probably longer than that.
yeah, probably longer than that, because I don't remember that. I know there's some reports that they post, but
That would make more sense though, to put it on the
There used to
police
be just-
department and the animal control, because
Right.
that's where people are gonna go when they have questions about what the police department's up to.
Yeah.
So I like your
We're
recommendation.
wandering off of the,
true. Okay,
We're
so
just
then,
trying to figure out ways not to have to go. So just all these suggestions are things that I think we can try, so that rather than going to one meeting right away.
okay, fair enough.
and I agree.
All right, then that
Very
ends the discussion on 7C with no motion. Somebody needs to say, it.
Move to adjourn.
All right, it's now 6:58
That's why I waited.
and we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Please, please.